Welcome back, everybody. Sive Morten here with the Forex Peace Army.com. Let's take a look again on the Bitcoin market. Well, today on the crypto markets, it's mostly not some really fundamental news or technical analysis news for particular trading of the Bitcoin, but mostly the news are around, it's actually mostly political and some really doubts on the confidence in the currently in the crypto market, because based on the things that have happened recently in last week on Friday, when the tariffs on the China has been announced, have shown to everybody that market is totally might be manipulated, no regulation. So it's in fact this is inside trading by the big politicians, including the Donald Trump. That's the major opinion currently on the market, because he just could warn the neighbors and just that he will make an announcement, use this and actually move market in any direction that he would like to, grab the profit, and he will not be actually punished for that. So now no responsibility, because no regulation here at all. Market is totally controlled by the big houses such as BlackRock through the ETFs, and he also could make the big bets if it will be needed. And that leads to some frustration on the market. Sentiment currently stands really low, and you can see based on the performance. So market participants are a bit, shocked, stunned in the current situation. But that is only the half of the story. That's what about the sentiment. Speaking about the background, we see a rising of some military rhetoric. If we were actually inhabit with this concerning the Middle East, some other points, but now the United States and Peter Hassett is actively involved in this in relation to the Ukraine conflict as the whole NATO. So you probably saw lots of comments and actually interviews, fragments of the recent meeting of the NATO meeting about this subject. So it's definitely media start to rising this topic, start spinning up this topic, and it's obviously happening not occasionally. That leads to the rising of the safe haven demand. So recent jump in United States dollar, gold also could get additional boost from this subject. It's now still stands on some starting points, but it definitely is spinning up. And that might be the reason for the selling of the Bitcoin. And actually this factor of the pressure, because Bitcoin is not considered as a safe haven asset. It's usually as becoming the first victim when investors need to run in the safe haven or needs a liquidity. Liquidity is also currently an issue in the United States. So you can see the performance. We think that particularly these major three factors: political issue, liquidity issue, lack of the confidence, some rising on the military rhetoric in the European Union and United States in relation to the Ukrainian conflict. So all this stuff is making pressure. Currently on a long-term chart, on particular on the monthly chart, we do not see any big changes. Yes, this grabber has been formed, but we do not know yet whether it will be confirmed or not, because if by the end of October market will close below the red line, we will not get any grabber. We will get just a reversal session. And this will be absolutely reasonable, because market actually has completed the very important targets. 1.7 hour all-time ABCD extension is done, and downside reaction in current circumstances is absolutely normal situation. It's quite a different tune what particular factors will trigger this retracement, but from the technical point of view, it doesn't matter. So target is reached, reaction should follow, at least by the probability. Grabber is a really pleasant thing if it will be formed, but we do not know yet definitely. So we just keep watching. On the weekly chart, you can see that this big range has been formed last week. Market right now stands still inside of it, but at the same time you could see that it is in downside action. So here's also picture remains bearish, trend remains bearish. On the daily chart, also not many things have changed, because market actually stands around oversold. As I shown you last time, it was a really big oversold drop, minor retracement, and it's now returning right back down. So the answer on the current situation mostly stands on intraday charts. If you carefully will take a look how upside action has developed with our ABCD pattern. So recall what we talked about on Monday. We said take a look, this might be a BCD retracement. OP might be an interesting point for a possible taking the bearish position, because we will get garter steeple to sell, right? On a daily chart, in fact, we have huge bearish engulfing pattern. Minor retracement as usual in the shape of the BCD pattern will be nice for possible considering taking the short position with our continuation. But here you can see what has happened. Market was not able even to reach the OP target. So it was not able to complete the ABCD extension. Collapsed and now returned right back down to the 1050, which is a 618 support of all this performance. As a result, on a bigger scale on the 4 time frame chart, we're getting this triangle consolidation. So, taking it all factors together, in the current moment, personally, I don't want to take any long position on the Bitcoin. So, because chances, especially when we see inability of the market to complete the upside target, it makes me think that it is actually skewed to the downside. Chances on the downside breakout looks a bit better. But the problem here is that we do not have any bright spots, so we do not have any clear, let's call it some clear, strong bearish setup, bearish pattern that could tell us better where to place our stop and actually what particular pattern we could use. We could suggest a lot of patterns. So for instance, we could suggest big butterfly here to the downside, but still it suggests placing a really high standing stop, which is not quite comfortable in the current circumstances. Also, don't forget that today is already Thursday, so tomorrow it will be already Friday and coming to the weekend. That's why potentially, if, for example, we would get this ABCD pattern right to the upside, and we will have here kind of garter steeple to sell, right, completed with this big pattern, for example. That will be quite another tune. So we easily could make the decision on the possible position taken. But the current moment, personally, I prefer to wait and see what will happen. Overall context remains bearish. We think that sentiment right now on the market stands in favor of the further downside continuation. But with the lack of the clear pattern and with the lack of the market position where we could place reasonable stop and calculate precise target, in this uncertainty environment, we prefer to wait and see what will happen. That's our conclusion currently on the Bitcoin market.